Hello my friends, this is Jeannie. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My friends, I am going to share with you days 9, 10, 11, and 12 of my completed December prompts. I did post a video last week where I shared days 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if you have not seen that video, be sure to check it out. December, if you don't know, is a prompt series hosted during the month of December. It is hosted by Louisa Hensel and by Barbara, who is 49 Dragonflies. They provide a prompt list with the hope of inspiring us makers, creators, and crafters to make ephemera in the month of December. Combine ephemera and December, you get December. So first thing I want to kind of update you on is my journal. If you watch the first video, you will know that I created this journal last year for last year's challenge. She's a little thick. It was a 3 signature journal. I did have to remove one of these signatures because it was just getting a little too thick to the point where it was becoming way too difficult to work in. My pages are permanently attached to the journal, so it's not like I can remove a page, work on it, and put it back. I have to work with the journal. As I continue to work in the journal, it does get a little more burdensome because she's getting thick. She's getting thick. But anyway, I removed that signature and now it's not as thick, but it's still there, and it's still a little difficult to work in, but I'm gonna make it work. Day 9 was journaling card and beloved visitor. When I saw a beloved visitor, I immediately thought of some visitors to my garden. I love them so much and I very much look forward to them every year, and those are bees. I have been working really hard to create a pollinator-friendly garden in my backyard. Nothing crazy. My husband was good enough to build 4 raised beds for me. And every year I do my best to plant things that attract pollinators, you know, with some success and some failure, but I do manage to attract those pollinators. And those bumblebees, they come back every year and they bring me such joy. I decided to document them in this journal. It was also a good opportunity for me to use some techniques that I learned from watching Louisa. Louisa made a journal that she sent to Barbara for December. Some of the pages in that journal were from a kit that is available in Barbara's shop, and it's called Bumble Breeze. But it's a kit that featured bumblebees, beautiful big bumblebees. And Louisa did some treatment to those pages that were just beautiful, that made the bees look more dimensional and just added so much texture. I knew I wanted to try that. First thing I did was searched the Digital Collage Club. I have a subscription to them. It's a lifetime subscription. I did a quick search for anything bee related, and they had a print and cut called Golden Bees. Now I know golden bees are not bumblebees, and quite honestly I don't know the difference between a golden bee and a bumblebee, but it's a bee and it didn't look too scary, so I decided to go with it. I fussy cut them and I treated them. There were a few, so I have extra, which I love, but I'm going to use the extra to kind of hold up here and maybe you can actually see the treatment. So the first thing I did was for the wings, I coated them and treated them with clear embossing powder. So all of the bees have these beautiful glass-like wings. Very much giving the vibe of actual bee wing. Love that so much. Now, I don't know if you can pick up on this fact, but the body of the bee is fuzzy and it's textured and it looks dimensional, and these bees just look amazing. Now, that effect was created using frosted crystal. I learned how to use this properly by watching Louisa. The thing with frosted crystal is if you overheat it, it loses that frosty effect and instead it becomes glassy. You totally lose the texture and the frosted effect if you overheat this. I watched Louisa's video. I did a couple of practice runs and I got it. I was able to create that same frosted texture on the bee's body, and I think it adds so much dimension to them, and I absolutely love that. I did print these on photo paper, so it's a little heavier weight. Between the photo paper, the embossing, the clear embossing powder and the frosted crystal embossing powder. These were heavy enough and stable enough. Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I felt comfortable creating pockets using these bees. So I took one of those bees, I glued it onto a background page. This background page is a part of a kit that I spoke of. I think I spoke about it in last week's video. Just go to her shop, do a search for Effie, E-P-H-Y, and I'm sure the kit will come up. Beautiful kit. Not only does it have pages featuring Effie, who is the mascot for Defember 2023, it also just has some beautiful backgrounds. Those backgrounds I did incorporate in my journal, thinking ahead that I'm going to use those pages to create layouts. And here's the bee. I attached the bee to the page just by the tips of the wing and a little bit of the bee bottom here. It creates a pocket right here. You have to be, full disclosure, you have to be a little gentle when putting tags in. You can't go in gangster, like I say, because if you're overly aggressive, your bee's going to lose an arm. Okay? But I didn't want to layer the bee onto anything else. I wanted to keep that kind of fussy cut look. The actual bee just buzzing around some mushrooms. I didn't want to distract by gluing it onto another layer. I just wanted it like this so that I can tuck in some tiny journaling tags. The tags themselves were part of a kit, again, from Louise's shop. I'm not sure if they came tiny like this or if I printed them so that they were tiny like this. But I cut 3 of the tags. I stamped some lines to the back of them so that you have a spot to journal. I used a stamp that's from an older Tim Holtz stamp. It's called School Desk CMS 057. 057. That's how old she is. But it has this beautiful page right here. It looks like a page that's been pulled from one of those tiny spiral memo books. You remember those growing up? Love those. I was obsessed with them. But I took that, stamped the back of each of these cards, attached some sari ribbon using the tiny attacher, edged it using some ground espresso, and here I have 3 tiny little journaling tags being carried away by a fun, fuzzy bee. So that is what I did for day 9. That's my interpretation, and I absolutely adore the way it turned out. Now, day 10 reads Altered Pocket and Textured Fragments. For that one, I decided to create a pocket using scraps from my box that had texture. So I found 2 scraps. One had some beautiful texture that was created using texture paste. What I did to the scrap, because the color was not vibing with my journal, was I changed the color of it. I sprayed it using Distress Spray, Distress Stain, and Distress Ink, all in the color Peacock Feathers. I also used some black soot. So I used the black soot and just kind of rubbed it across the raised textures to highlight the fact that it did have texture. Because I attached that scrap to another scrap. The second scrap I used was corrugated cardboard. I love corrugated cardboard. It's so fun and such an easy way to add texture to your projects, my friends. And the best part is you get it for free. I take the flaps off of most of my Amazon boxes and I keep the flaps. And when I need some corrugated cardboard, when I need some texture, I peel back some of the top layers of the paper and I reveal this beautiful corrugated cardboard underneath that I love, love, love. So I took a scrap of that. I took some black soot, rubbed it across the peaks of the corrugated cardboard to highlight the peaks, right? And then I sprayed, after everything was glued together, I sprayed it with some mica spray, again, the color Peacock Feathers, and I did some gold ink splatter. Can you see it? I cut the pocket to size and I glued it onto a dictionary page that was in my journal. I also treated that dictionary page with the mica spray in the color peacock feather, and I did splatter it with gold as well. The journaling card itself, it's a very simple one. I decided to focus on the pocket. The pocket is where I had all the fun. The journaling card is very basic, but it suits my needs. This tag was part of Louise's kit. I rounded the corners. I inked the edges. I attached some sari ribbon using my tiny attacher. In the back, I have a great spot to journal or to glue a photo onto it. Lately, I have been obsessed with taking mini Polaroids of all of my pets. Here's one. This is my lovely little menace, Oregano. He's one of my younger ones. He's a menace. Love him so much, though. I got this great picture of him. I'm thinking I might want to glue it in the back of this and journal a little bit about him and what a sweet, lovable menace he is. But I definitely have the option to do that by leaving the tag empty in the back, and that's what I chose to do. So that is day 10. Day 11 reads, least favorite ephemera and bookbinders art. Well, least favorite ephemera. The way I chose to interpret that is not ephemera that I don't like, because if I don't like it, I'm not keeping it in my craft room. So I don't have ephemera in my room that I don't like. What I do have is ephemera that I don't use as often as I should. And I decided to kind of approach it from that way. Instead of finding something I don't like and trying to make it work for my book, I just found something that I do like, but I don't incorporate very often, and that's what I used. In that case, what I decided to use were stamps. I have so many of these amazing stamps. I have an entire tin, see? Stamps and seals. If I reach for this tin once every 2 months, that's a lot. Okay, I don't reach for it very often. I don't know if it's one of those things where it's out of sight, out of mind. I can't even say, I don't think I can say that though, because it is within my line of sight. I just choose to overlook it. But I decided this time I would use some of this to create the prompt. And then the second part of it, bookbinder's art. Well, I don't know what that means, my friends. Is it, I just didn't know how to interpret that. And then I just stopped myself from overthinking it and decided to keep it simple, Jeannie. It's your journal. You're the bookmaker. You're the one who bound the book together. So it should be something that you make. And in that sense, I was thinking of things that, little decorative art pieces, if you will, that I create or make to embellish a journal. And part of that includes spinal jewelry. It includes little danglies. I love that. Okay, so what I decided to do was create a bunch of little dangly pieces. This is my art, and attach them throughout the journal. These are very simple dangly pieces. It's just a pin, safety pin with some beads, a jump ring, and a charm. I attached them onto some of the fabric tabs, two in fact, that I have in this journal. Here's the second one. What I did was I created almost like a card, a backing card where I can attach the jewelry that I made. So starting with the backing card, it doesn't really incorporate any of the prompts. It does incorporate some items I have used in prompts past, including that corrugated cardboard. There it is again. Isn't that pretty? Love that. I took a piece of that, layered it onto some canvas, and layered that on top of some paper and created this pretty backing card for the sole purpose of attaching this. So let me explain to you how I made this one. I had this pretty little mini metal hanger. Don't ask me where I got it from. It's been in my stash forever. But what I did was I took some Tim Holtz fabric, a strip of Tim Holtz fabric, and I folded it over the hanger. I cut it wide enough so that it fit on the hanger. Okay. On top of that fabric, I glued, can you see them? I glued some of those stamps Do you see them back there? Very pretty. So it was a nice background. It created some interest in the background, some color in the background. Over that, I glued a strip or a piece of trim, thicker trim. I wanted something thicker because my intention was to pin something to it. So I needed it to be thick enough that I can pin something to it. And to that, I pinned 3 of the I don't know what you want to call this, embellishments, adornments, danglies, bookbinder art that I created. So it makes a very nice presentation. To me, it looks like art. It incorporates my least used ephemera, so I think it checked off all of the boxes. It's a pretty presentation if you want to trade it or send it to someone as a gift. I added a little brad here, so I have somewhere to hang my hanger. So it's really cute. And coincidentally, I have a little bit of a tuck spot here. I didn't want to leave the card loose, so I just stapled it on. It's easy to remove it if I do decide that I want to send it to someone down the road or trade it with someone or whatever the case may be. But I think for now it looks really pretty. And it checks off all the boxes, so I'm happy with that. And then the final prompt for this week, my friend, is bookmark and black and white. What I decided to do for this particular prompt was something that was very straightforward, very simple. For the background, the whole black and white, I decided to find a black and white page in my journal. I had this music page in my journal, black and white, so I decided to start there as a base. On top of that, I added this tag, which is in the shape of a bookmark. I would say it's a bookmark. And I used that to create a pocket. This tag is part of one of Louise's kits as well. What I did was edge it with some ground espresso, and I splattered some black and white paint onto it to again incorporate the black and white and bookmark. So I did a literal translation of the prompts in creating this particular page. I added some trim for just texture and interest. And then to tuck into that, I tried to create a proper bookmark. This is actually something that I would use. I took a scrap of paper, I rounded the corners, folded it in half to create kind of like a spot where you can chronicle or note the books that you read. I decorated the front, added a little mini tag featuring Effie, some sorry ribbon that I attached using my tiny attacher, added the sentiment story chronicles, and there's more of that black and white. And here I have a spot to kind of take note or note what books I've read and maybe give them some kind of a star rating. This was in part inspired by something that Barbara does when she does her Plan With Me videos. She has a section in her planner where she lists the books that she read that month and she gives them a star rating. So this is like my mini homage to her. To me, I do this because it's fun and I enjoy sharing my work with you and I enjoy reading your comments. So thank you, my friends, for visiting. Thank you for taking the time to leave comments. Kind, encouraging words. I love them so much. Thank you. They mean the world to me and you mean the world to me. So I just wanted to put that out there before I end this video. So that is all. I will see you next week, my friends. Until next time. Bye-bye.